Nzinga, I'm so excited for our conversation today. We hardly ever get to talk about launching on this show, so I cannot wait to dive in. Thank you for being here.
I'm so happy to be here, and I'm really excited to be able to talk about the launch because I feel like I need a ton of help here.
Yeah, great. My goal for our conversation is for you to walk away feeling grounded and really clear about the details, because I have a sense that you have a pretty good idea about the big picture and like the feeling and the essence, but I want to get into the details so that this is set up to be as successful as possible.
Yay.
Cool. So before we dive in, give us a little state of the union. How are things going for you, especially inside of our program?
Oh, well, the program's been great. The program's been amazing. I had just finished some of my certifications at the end of last year.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do I do now? And I just felt this, like I had this week of floundering and wanting to have a game plan because I love structure. I thrive with structure. And my partner, we had just decided that I couldn't buy any more programs.
I love it. I love having those conversations.
So nervous to bring it up, but I was like, no, this is what I need next. I have to enroll in the Six-Figure Coach Club, or I'm not going to know, we're not going to be able to figure this part of my business out. So it's given me so much confidence and the ability to really feel like I'm on a track to succeed.
Yeah.
So it's been great.
That's great. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Okay. So why don't you fill everyone in on what you want to walk away with from our conversation today? I kind of teased it a little bit, but let's get into the details here.
Sure. So I always find these holes and I ponder. So what came up for me and the reason why I decided to submit to the podcast is because I was kind of trying to figure out, okay, what does my onboarding process really look like? Mm-hmm. And I had talked to two other coaches who said, we use this and we do this. And then the next day on the call, you said, oh, I don't use Dubsado. I don't have any of that. And I was like, wait a minute, how is Dallas doing this without, these programs and what is her system? Because I felt the onboarding for the program was great. It was smooth sailing. It actually exceeded my expectations with the call with Kylie, and Kylie really walking us through the steps and walking me through the course for the first time and saying, when you get to client surge, this is when it slows down. So it's okay if you're not going as fast. Here are some bonus videos that you may want to, look at with scheduled nomination. So it was so exciting. And I felt like I was really set up for success because I had been introduced to the program in a way that left me without questions and gave me everything I needed to know, even when I didn't know that I needed to know that. Yes. And I had recently come across a YouTube video really talking about how important it is for when you bring on a client, every brand touch point when they interact with your brand is really reinforcing the rapport that you have with that client, their belief that this is the program, the belief in themselves. And so I want to make sure that every step along the way is really dialed in so that I don't undermine any of their experience, any of the deliverables that I have on my end through the actual work. I don't want the onboarding to undermine that in any way.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is you want to make sure that let's call it the customer service experience.
Yes.
The customer service experience matches the quality of the coaching experience.
Yes.
And you also want to make sure that you're not winging it when it comes to onboarding new clients. You want to think through the process, make it as seamless for you, as automated for you, and do it in a way that it does not feel seamless, doesn't feel automated for the client.
Yes, because I will tell you, when I first started coaching, oh my God, it was like, oh, I need this, and then I need this. And so it was this rush to get these documents out to them. And I never want to put myself in that situation again.
You're so smart. I think that there is a percentage of newer coaches who actually have this intense competing intention, which is, yes, I just got certified. And yes, of course, I want clients, but oh God, what do I do with if someone says yes, I don't know how to collect their money. What kind of contract should I have in place? All of those details then block them from putting themselves out there to get clients. So we're going to cover those details today. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. Yes. Yay.
Love it. All the systems nerds listening are just so excited right now. It's like, oh, we're not going to talk about limiting beliefs? Great. Let's make a to-do list. So before we get too into it, Nzinga, can you tell everyone about who you serve and how you help them?
Yes. I serve actors. I help them break through their mental and emotional stuckness to move past worry, doubt, overwhelm, to finally follow through on their purpose without excuses or fears.
How fancy of you. It sounded so good.
It's so good. When you helped me work through that, I was like, oh, this is it. Perfect.
So fun, right?
Yeah.
And it just makes everything easier when you know how to talk about what you do. It's great. Yes. Okay. So, and the onboarding piece that we're talking about right now is specifically into privates, or do you have multiple offerings at the moment?
I do have multiple offerings.
Okay.
But this is for my signature coaching program, and each offering is one-on-one, whether it's a one and done or the 8-week coaching program or the VIP.
Okay, great. All right. So walk me through the vision you have for the ultimate onboarding experience for the client. So you don't have to get necessarily into the details of what it looks like, but what does it feel like for them, and how does it set them up to be successful? And then we'll just walk through a to-do list, if you will.
Right.
Okay.
So I've been a part of several coaching programs. Some where had an excellent onboarding program, and some where I was kind of scrambling myself on the other end. I never want my client to scramble. I want my client to feel held, cared for, like they have made the best damn decision all the way through. And each step along the way is with ease. And I want to be responsible for any of the huff. I just want them to be able to click and go, oh, I can just do an electronic signature. I don't have to copy. I don't have to print this out and then scan this back. Oh, she's already thought about me along the way. So I was in the service industry for a lot, and it's anticipating their needs.
Yeah.
Right. Being able to anticipate everything they need, having all their questions answered, or keeping that door open. So really just held and loved, and that I am doing everything I can to serve their highest good.
Yeah. I really hear that. I've been a part of coaching programs before where it just really has this feeling that they're making it up as they go along a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's scary.
It can be. It can be a little unsettling, right? Or maybe not even that. Let's not be too dramatic, but distracting.
Yeah.
Right? So is this the right decision? That's what I heard you say. You want every customer service touch point to reinforce that they made the right decision by working with you. Got it. Great. Okay. So where should we get started? Should we just start from maybe what happens after they say yes, all the way until maybe their first 100 days of working with you? Or maybe at the end of 8 weeks, because is that your longest program?
8 weeks is my longest. I think so. One of my friends who I talked to, who's also a coach, she said, yeah, really just mapping out step by step what that looks like. And I don't know what my block is, but it's not until I have the client do the steps are like, oh, you haven't done this, and you haven't done this, and you haven't done that. But my mind doesn't go there.
Yeah.
Naturally. It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said about ignorance being bliss. Is that the way I want to say it? Like, if you haven't done it before, you haven't had to think about it before. So let's cut you some slack here, but let's also set you up to be successful.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's then start with the moment that the client says yes. So however you enroll people, whether that's through discovery sessions or any other modality, the client has now said yes. The very first thing to do is collect payment and get that first session on the books.
Gotcha.
Okay. A contract can get signed afterward. That doesn't have to happen on the call, because that, I promise you, will not reinforce their in the moment decision. It's just a total buzzkill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what do you have in place to collect payments?
So I send them a PayPal invoice.
Okay. I
And
already
then,
don't like it.
and
No.
then when I'm on, oh no, you can keep going if you want to tell me why you
So
don't.
I'm the client.
Uh-huh.
I just said yes. Are you collecting payment on that call?
So I just
Say
had a
yes.
discovery. Yes.
Say yes.
It was funny because I had to make the invoice as I was on the call. I enrolled someone on Monday and I was like, oh, I can't send it by the time we finish this sentence and conversation. So I didn't end up getting to send it to them by the time.
Okay. So we're going to make two lists here.
Okay.
One is the customer experience, the steps they go through. The other is your action list of things to put in place. Okay. So step number one, we're collecting payment.
Okay.
Now, inside the club, we don't put a lot of pressure on the one call close. We lean into the one call close. We want to present that invitation, make it possible for people to say yes on the call. Either way, they need a payment link. So I strongly recommend, after the client says yes, in the chat on Zoom, you send them the PayPal link. So rather than sending them an invoice, now we're moving over to your to-do list. Okay. Yeah. You're going to create probably 3, maybe 4 products inside of PayPal. Gotcha. One is a subscription. That subscription will be for the 8-week program. If you have a multi-pay option, you do.
Yes. Yeah.
Great. And then the other is just the product itself. We're calling them products in PayPal, even though it's a service. But so basically, for any offering that has a payment plan, you'll set up a subscription.
Okay.
Okay. And then you'll set up a subscription. You'll also set up the one pay. So inside of subscriptions, you can limit the number of payments. It's just basically PayPal's version of a payment plan.
Perfect.
Fabulous. Okay.
Yay.
So now we're going back to the client experience. I've said yes. I'm excited about that. I'm also nervous. So you're going to hold the strong container and help me follow through by paying then, right? If I don't want to, or I have to think about it or pray about it or consult my cat about it or whatever else we do, then you'll follow the client surge system in terms of setting up that follow-up. Okay. Gotcha. Yep. But they'll still have you need to have a payment link on your hands. Okay. Number 2, the next step is getting that first appointment on the books. Mm-hmm. So if you have a VIP day, you'll schedule the VIP day. Okay. If you have the 8-week package, you'll schedule the first session. Now it's official.
Yay.
Right? Yeah. So
it feels more real.
Totally. Yeah. And now the client can leave feeling high and committed, right? Instead of wishy-washy. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then the third step is on that call to outline the next steps. Nice. So I'm going to pretend you're the client who just said yes to me, right? Great. Congratulations. This is so exciting. Do you want to pay in full or would you like the 2-pay option?
I'll pay in full.
Great. You'll pay in full. Great. I'm going to put the link in the chat and then I'll just sit here and make sure nothing weird happens on the internet. I'll give you a chance to complete that purchase. And then I sit there and I watch you do it, right? Or I take a drink of water or write a few notes, but it happens on the call. And then you'll say, great, I'm done. I'll say, oh, great. I just saw the notification. It's official. Congratulations. This is so exciting. We celebrate with them. Up next, let's schedule our first appointment. All right. So we find our time, we schedule it. All right. Before I let you go, here's what's going to happen next. By this evening, I'll send you a welcome email. That welcome email is going to have a link to some prep work. We'll talk about that next, Nzinga. Just so that I can get a full picture of where you're at and what you want to accomplish. It's going to really help you also ground into this work. Please also be on the lookout for an email from signnow.com. That's the service I use for contracts, right? That just has our service agreement. You can read through it, sign it electronically, and it'll kick right back to me. If any questions come up, feel free to email me. Okay, is there anything else you want to share before we sign off now? So again, we're just celebrating, right? But all that paperwork stuff we save for after we've collected payment and scheduled the first session. So far, so good?
Great.
Okay, great. So now we're going to jump over, and the third thing on your, or the second thing rather, on your to-do list is contracts and a way to sign them electronically. What do you have in place right now?
I don't have anything in place, and I feel
Okay.
so embarrassed sending them.
Oh,
Just
please.
figure it out on your end.
I know, right?
So
Okay.
bad.
So we have a bonus coming inside of the program. I've just been putting the finishing touches on it. For those of you listening, yes, you should be very jealous, but don't worry. We're putting it together to make it available to the public as well. It's called New Client Now What? And it's all of the tools you need in order to onboard a new client. So in there will be resources for legal counsel on your contract. I'm also sharing the contract that I use, stipulating, of course, that I am not an attorney. I cannot guarantee that it's legal in your field or in your state, but at least it's something to work from, okay? So we want to get a contract and then a way to get the contract signed. In the past, I have used HelloSign. I also currently use signnow.com. They're both great resources.
Okay.
Okay, any questions about the contract?
No.
Okay, great.
I think so. So the and then the welcome packet.
Yeah, great. All right, so now we're back on the list for the client experience. They've paid, they've scheduled. It's within 24 hours, you're sending that welcome email. That welcome email, the New Client Now What also has a template for that. But the welcome email, we want to link to prep work of some sort. Do you have anything like that in place yet?
I do. And I get a little nervous about it because it's kind of extensive. And so I don't know if I should just make it a separate call and just walk them through it myself.
And actually, like, essentially fill out the paperwork together?
Yeah. I don't know. I go back and forth.
I can only speak from my own experience here. We really value belonging inside of our program, right? Kylie takes her job very seriously, and she's the client success manager. And in Nzinga, we just found that by inserting those startup calls, people are so much more successful. They're more involved. They actually ask fewer customer service questions. They're more engaged. They move further, faster, all of the things. So that extra, air quote here, expense of having a startup call actually saves us a lot of time and money. And if you want a gold star experience for your family, I recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great.
So now we're going to back it up to the let's schedule our first appointment. What that conversation will look like is let's schedule our first appointment plus our startup call. You can call it what you want, but so our startup call, we're going to walk through some prep work together. There's a lot I want to know about you and about your business and about your career, right? And I also just don't want you to sign you up and then dump a lot of homework on you. So let's have a bonus call. This is extra. So if the session, so now they're getting 9 sessions, right? Instead of 8. Or if it's a VIP day, this is the prep call for the VIP day. And then you can actually just go through that together. I think it's really wise. And it's not going to take too much extra time for you because you're going to review their answers anyhow. Right?
Absolutely.
And they're going to answer the questions anyhow. So now you're just coming together to do it.
Yep.
I love that idea. And you'll know, I think, after just 1 or 2 clients, whether or not that actually makes sense. But what an excellent way to really help your client feel held and cared for and at ease.
And it's just more time to do something together that may not be deep and heavy. And it's just,
Right.
kind of almost like a getting to know you session.
Right. You could even have some fun with that prep work and insert some very lighthearted, almost silly questions,
Oh, yeah.
right? Because if you're
I love
talking through them
that.
together, like the great debate. Do you remember, were you on that club call where Kylie asked, duvet cover, when you have a duvet cover, do you also have a
No,
top sheet? Oh,
no.
it was this huge, we do these icebreakers, right?
Yeah.
So it was this huge debate, and people were divided pretty much 50-50 about whether or not you should have a sheet with your duvet cover. Anyhow, you could have some fun with that too,
Yeah. I
just to
love
create
that.
that bonded experience.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, great. So step number 3 is to update however you need to the intake form, we'll call it.
Mhm.
And I recommend going through every single question and asking yourself, what is the utility of this question? Just to make sure every single thing you're asking for a reason other than I'm supposed to ask this on an intake form.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, and then what I would recommend is creating a Google folder for each one of your clients. So you'll create a Google folder that's your like master templates. Inside will be a master version of your contract in case you ever have specific contract stipulations, a master intake form, a master, I like to also have just a folder in there called resources, where you drop resources that might come up during your coaching sessions.
Love it.
And then, of course, the traction report, which has come up in a few club calls. It's inside of New Client Now What, so you'll see that soon inside of our curriculum, but it's basically the way you take notes, the way you track a client's progress. So we'll get to that in a minute. But
Okay.
then part of the next, the welcome email will be a link to their custom Google folder. So you just take the master, copy it, change it to the client's name, share that folder with them, and inside is their intake form.
Oh, that feels so easy and like simple.
Easy. Yeah. And what I like about it is most people now you are familiar enough with Google Docs and Google Forms that they can make it work.
Mhm.
So something like Dubsado, which I think is great, right? It's also extra and it's not as familiar as something like Google Docs. So use what people are familiar with if you can get away with it.
Yeah.
Great. So now what happens is you sign a client, you've scheduled, now you send the welcome email. You've got a template for that as well that you just cut and paste and customize. You have a Google folder, a master Google folder that you'll copy, rename, and share to the client. So it's all really seamless.
Mhm.
Okay. So Google folder. So far, so good?
Very good. This is amazing.
Awesome.
Yay.
All right. So I'm going to summarize. Then we're going to take a quick break and come back and see what else we want to add into this.
May I have one question?
Please.
Because I think technically I'm getting confused. So the documents that are in the Google folder that they'll need to fill out, because Google now has like Google Hub or there's something that will come up that'll automatically let you sign with some Google add-on. So does the sign, I'm getting confused, if they go into the Google folder and they see their intake form, is that going to automatically get them to sign now, or sign now only for the contract?
Sign now is only for the contract.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So you'll have in your master template a version of the contract just so it's all in one place.
Gotcha.
Right. You'll also have that contract template inside of Sign Now. So when you send that welcome email, you copy the document, you make a custom Google folder for the client, you send the welcome email, you all then go into Sign Now and send the contract. So it's a 2-step process.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, let's summarize what we've done so far. So I'm looking at the left side of my page where we have the customer experience. The customer pays. Now we're scheduling 2 appointments, the kickoff call plus the first session. Then the client hears about the next steps. You congratulate them, you say goodbye. You go into Google, copy the folder, copy the welcome email, customize the links, send it off, go into Sign Now, copy the contract template, send that off as well to be signed. The next step for the client is simply to show up to the onboarding session. Mm-hmm. Yay, so easy for them, right? So great. Now on the to-do list side, let's see if I've got everything. We're going into PayPal to set up a subscription option for anything that you offer a payment plan for, plus a pay in full option. So you have those products inside of PayPal. You can easily cut and paste the link in the chat in your discovery session. Mm-hmm. Sign Now or HelloSign are 2 great inexpensive resources for digital contracts. You have your intake form. You're going to look at it and just make sure everything is there for a reason, and then turn that into a master Google template, and then creating a master Google folder that you'll use as the template for every new client that you welcome in. Yay! This is so fun. Great. Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I just want to see what else we're forgetting, and then we'll talk about how to next level this process for your clients.
Perfect.
Great. All right, I'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. I'm Dallas Travers. I've got Nzinga Moore here. We are pretty much onboarding geniuses at this point, would you say?
Yeah.
It's so fun. So Nzinga is so smart. Her business is launching really soon, officially, right? You've been working with a branding team and getting your website up. You're ready for the big reveal, and you're thinking ahead. And I just want to acknowledge you for that. Just thinking about what is the customer experience and what do I need to have in place so that I'm not scrambling at the last minute when someone says they want to work with me and I don't even know what that means.
I hate the scramble. It drives me.
Yeah, it doesn't suit you at all, that's for sure. Okay, so we went through your action list, also the client experience. We've gotten as far now as that initial session. So what, if any, questions do you have before we talk about how to up-level this experience for your clients?
I don't think I have any questions at this point. The only thing that came up for me was I know how much of a kind of old soul I have sometimes, and I like paper.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want to print out and I want to touch their form and blah, blah, blah. So I'll just have to get over that myself.
Well, but why not? I mean, one thing you could do, think about what works for you, but you could print out a picture of them.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And have a folder for each client that has their photo and maybe their intake forms, or maybe just blank pages where you take physical notes.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, because I'm with you. I find that you should see my notepad after these club calls because I just process by writing somehow, but the notes hardly make sense and they're not for anyone, right? So it's okay to also be old school, but if you're coaching online, you just want to make sure you're ensuring ease on the customer side of it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, great. All right, there's 2 other things I'd love to bring forward if you're open.
Great.
The first one we mentioned earlier, which is what I call a traction report. So I've seen newer coaches make a couple of big mistakes. One of them is suddenly now it's your job as the coach to type up all of your notes and create an action plan and email that to the client. And you're like doing all of this summarizing, right, between sessions. That is creating a codependent relationship. Okay. It's also way more work than anybody's asking you to do. So here's what I recommend instead. So at the end of every session, take 5 minutes to write notes together, and the client you can do it or the client can do it, but someone's screen sharing. Okay. And you have the session date on a shared Google Doc that says like what we discussed and then just bullet points. And then the next section is next steps for Roberta or whatever the client's name is. And then there's bullet points. So now you leave the session really clear about what happened and what's happening next. And you don't have to go and spend an hour after the session re-listening to the recording so that you can capture all of these notes. It's not necessary. It's also treating the client like a baby.
There's so many things I want to say, but first off, thank you, because I was actually starting to resent the process of going back through my notes and putting everything together and then emailing them. It was taking so long to give them that, which I knew was valuable and important. But now if I do it in 5 minutes, I actually have them too, to really, hey, what really landed for you? Where are we, on the same page, and we do it together.
Yes. So this is efficient, right? But I want to be clear. This is not about being lazy as a coach. This is about co-creating with your client.
Mm-hmm.
And this is their process. So now why are you turning into like the court transcriber?
Right.
At the end, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, right? I love it. I love it. Yay.
Great. So let's say you have 50-minute sessions, that now the sessions are 55 minutes. Mm-hmm. And those last 5 minutes, you're just filling in the traction report.
Love it.
Okay. So this is a living, breathing document in the shared Google folder. It's going to appear in reverse chronological order. So what that means is we have our first session and it's dated August 1st, 2020. Session number 2 now goes above session number 1. So that when I go to the document, our most recent session is always at the top of the document. I don't have to scroll.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And then the client's job, 2 days, 1 day, 1 hour, whatever works for you, before your next session is to go into that same document and update you on their progress.
Oh, yay.
So that way it just helps, I have found, especially with this transformative work, it helps the client really own their process and ground into how they're really doing before showing up and meeting. I find with my clients where what we talk about so much more is strategy, it helps them really ground into, okay, I have a million things happening in my business, but what is it I want to focus on with Dallas? So it's completely in service to them to have them go in and update you before the session.
I love it. And it's accountability too.
Yeah. And the coolest part about this for me is now you have a paper trail of their progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that if the client, and they will, right, if you're doing a good job, they will have moments where they are stuck or not sure about what to work on or feeling like they're not moving fast enough. And then you always can go back to that traction report and be like, hold the phone here. Look at everything that we have done together. Look at how far you've come. Or also, I've noticed these last 3 sessions, this thing you said you were going to do, you keep putting it on the back burner. So let's talk about what's happening here. So it's just a very easy way, again, to co-create results with your client instead of just being this service provider.
Yeah, cool. Amazing.
Good. So you'll get a template for that, of course, inside of New Client Now What, which is a bonus for all of our club members. And I just love the traction report. It's been a game changer for me. Okay. So one other thing, if you're open to it, I would like you to think about is, how can we make this sparkle?
Yeah.
So if you recall, as a club member, it was probably like 45 days in, you got a postcard in the mail from us. Is that true?
I did. It's on my refrigerator.
Right?
Yeah. The doggies at the bottom. Yes. I love it.
Yeah. So for everyone listening, I think it's the 45-day mark. It might even be 30. We'll have to ask Kylie, but we have actually, what does 365 days inside of the program look like? And we've got different touch points along the way. So remember I shot you a bomb at day 100?
That was so fun.
Right? So we really try to curate an experience of belonging for you.
Mm.
And there's research, and I'm not going to get the statistics right here, but I'll be close enough. The essence will be accurate. I think people are like 80% more likely to stick with something if they get some form of physical swag. Now they're getting a lot of personal attention, so this is a different beast. But even just thinking about sending a handwritten card,
Yeah.
if they bought an 8-week package, maybe week 3, you send a handwritten card to them, so that they get it right at that midway point when things can kind of get challenging. Or 90 days after the VIP day, sending them a card of a selfie you took together, a screenshot on Zoom or something in person. Just look for inexpensive ways for you to let this really sparkle so that, and I'll use your words, your clients feel held and cared for, knowing they've made the best damn decision ever.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Fun.
The card, it just filled me with such joy. The bomb video, and it was so great because you had my name.
Yeah,
So I was like, oh, this is for me. Just me. So you feel so special. And it's such a surprise. It comes out of nowhere and you're like, oh, wait, what's this?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Great.
Yeah, there's more in store. Stay tuned because you got more swag coming your way. It's so funny. But I just find that so often in business, we spend all this time thinking about like, how do we build our list and how do we get clients in? And then, okay, great, you're in. See you later. Not quite, but sort of. And that's not what we want to do inside of our program. And I have the sense, given what you brought forward today, it's also not what you want to do with your clients as well.
Very, very true. Yeah.
Great.
I want them to feel seen and heard and, like they have a teammate. So
yeah, that's fantastic. Okay. Is there anything else you want to ask before we wrap up and talk about takeaways?
I don't think so. I love that you have, and when I get more advanced, I love that you have all the days blocked out and sort of like this is the customer experience for 365 days. That's super impressive. So that'll be our next call.
Yes, great. Yeah, and not long from now, you can come back and maybe we'll have to bring Kylie on so she can walk everybody through it because it's pretty impressive what she's created. Great.
Wow. Okay.
All right. So you've got an action list. I have 6 steps on this list. Is that what you've got?
Let me see. I didn't number it for some reason, but
okay. You know what? Just for everyone listening, I'll go through the steps.
Great.
So we're setting up our products and subscriptions inside of PayPal, looking into either Sign Now or Hello Sign, revising your intake form, creating your Google folder. Inside of that folder will be the contract, the welcome email, the intake form, and a traction report. I have creating a traction report as its own step. And then step 6 is make it sparkle. Great. Love it. What's your biggest takeaway from our conversation today?
So my biggest takeaway, I would say, do you want me to pause for my doggy?
No, we love animals.
Okay.
The dogs can participate in the takeaways. We're okay.
I think my biggest takeaway is, can I have 2?
Yes, you can have 2. You're so funny. That's so you.
I know. So I love the traction report because I actually feel like it's super empowering. And I've been you're like, I haven't seen you. I've actually been trying to practice agency in my own way and really making sure that I am doing what I can do on my own and then calling on you and the group when I really need you. So I've been very aware of that. And I love that. That is one of your top values. And then the sparkle. I want to do something special for my clients, my customers. I want them to feel, loved and held, and like I get to be a part of something special that, this is my opportunity to have this moment and another way to reconnect with them. So I love that.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Already know how helpful this conversation will be to everybody listening. So I'm so glad you brought it forward. Congratulations on your blossoming business. And also, good for you for thinking about this before it's an emergency. That really says a lot about your commitment. So I'm just glad you came on the show today, Nzinga.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Dallas. I so appreciate this.
You're very, very welcome. And thank you to everyone listening. We will see you back here next week.